Hello, beauties. How is everyone going today? Something has been coming up this week in my own relationships and in my clients, and it's all around revisiting the key ingredients in your relationship. And we're all in relationships, some of us with intimate partners and others relationships with friends. I'm particularly talking about that kind of intimate relationship that you might have with your partner, with your husband, because I don't believe that people fall out of love, but I do believe that people fall out of the ability to listen and communicate and appreciate. And fear can start to override all of that. Fear of what if I break it? What if I hurt someone? What if I say this? Or I'm not being heard? And all those little things build up and build up and build up and can create the fractures in relationship. And if you are on a personal or spiritual development path, and you are in a relationship with somebody else, then that relationship is part of your personal spiritual development path, whether the other person realizes that they're on that or not. So for those of you that are new to me, I'm Beks Thompson, and I work with women really closely in community around relationships, around showing up in their highest way, around their health and well-being, so that you can do what you love and make the impact that you want without all these other things holding you back. So what do I know about relationships? Well, I've been in one for 30 years. We've been married for, 14 years, but together for like 30 years. So it's been a huge journey, and I'm very profoundly on a spiritual development path. My husband, not so obviously so, and yet very wise, very solid, very grounded. Now, what I've learned over these years has had a profound effect on the depth of our relationship and on our ability to continue to renew the passion, to renew the connection, to renew our love, renew the support for each other. Whereas there was a time, particularly when the kids were little and even before that, where it was kind of like, am I in this relationship? Am I out? I don't know. Am I moving away from him because my personal and spiritual life is taking me in this direction and he's not necessarily coming with me? The beautiful thing is, I want to let you know and reassure you, if you're growing in different ways to your partner, is it doesn't have to mean that you grow apart. It doesn't have to mean that you grow apart. Here are some of the things that I want to share with you that are integral into your relationship growing and blossoming, even if you feel like you might be growing in a different direction. Because you are in relationship for a reason, and our primary relationship is a sacred relationship of personal and spiritual development, whether you realize it or not. And you can either acknowledge that and realize that it's going to take work, or you can think that relationships are made out of fairy floss and it should all be like it is in magazines. And if you have that idea of things, it ain't going to go so well. But if you realize that it's a continuous growth and learning and sharing path, then you are committed to that and showing up whether it's scary or not, then you have a chance of definitely making it work. So the first thing that I would say is acknowledging that this relationship that you are in is going to take work. And as a woman, if I'm speaking often mostly to women in my tribe, you may well be the one that has to instigate that most of the time. And that is just the nature of the feminine, of creating and change and growth. We tend to see these things. We tend to generally be a little bit more emotionally aware and see a little bit more clearly, more readily able to address things. So that's the first thing, is to be brave. Be brave and be able to speak up and share when things aren't working for you. But who here has ever had that situation when you speak up, but you get the kind of wall back, right? Or, the defensive triggers go up. This is because how over the years we've been communicating with each other, or might have been communicating with each other, tends to create patterns. And so you can get that whole kind of, oh, not this again kind of attitude. Here's how I've learned to overcome that. There's a few steps to it. So the first thing when you are entering into discussion with your partner, which has to keep happening, you have to share your truth with your partner because you're evolving and changing all the time. But whenever you have one of these discussions about how you might want things to change or how you're feeling or how you want to connect more or whatever it is that you want to bring up, the first thing is that you need to acknowledge what is happening for you and your role in that. So not just, I wish you would do this, or I've told you a million times to do that. It's acknowledging your side of it. Saying and looking at yourself and going, I realize that I've been doing this, this, and this recently. And it doesn't feel so great, or it's having this impact. And then you can go on to say, and I've been feeling this, this, and this. And I've been feeling, sad, or I've been feeling really alone, or I've been feeling not heard, or whatever it is, what you're actually feeling. And I've been noticing then maybe this, this, and this about them. So you only get to your partner and their sort of role in it after you've fully acknowledged your part in how you've been behaving and showing up in response to an environment and how you've been really feeling about that. And then what you've maybe noticed about their behavior and how you've been reacting to it. You can't make this about somebody else. We have a choice as to how we react in other people's environments. And so we have to sort of own that. All right. So then you can kind of highlight, what may have been happening, and then bring in appreciations of how much you appreciate other aspects, other qualities of the masculine or the feminine, if you're, with a female partner in them, what it is you appreciate and what you would really love to receive so that you can be a better person. And you come back to your original thing of, I realize that I'm not showing up in my best right now because I'm getting triggered or I'm feeling hurt or upset, and I realize I'm behaving this way. When you move into the requests, you bring it back to that beginning point. I would really love this, this, and this, because then that makes me feel safe. It means I can relax and then I don't get controlling or whatever it is, whatever the cycle is. So it's this kind of cycle that you're sharing and explaining to your partner. And the beauty of this communication is that you are owning your stuff and then you're putting in a loving request, rather than always blaming or pointing out faults or wish this was different or could you do this. Can you feel that? There's a very big difference. That way gets triggers and reactions and hurt, shut down, numbness. The other way creates an opening, creates a softening. You're owning your stuff, you're appreciating, you're sharing how you truly feel. And if there's love in that relationship, then you want the other person to feel great. You want the other person to blossom, and you want to do whatever's reasonable to, help that, to heal that. And I think one of the biggest things in relationship that many people share with me, and I notice it sometimes in myself, is that fear of bringing something up, because we don't want to upset someone. We don't want to trigger them. We don't want to create a big event over something. So, and we fear the conflict because we don't know how to communicate. And so because of that, we let little things build up and up and up and up and up into big things, big resentments that we don't even know what the root of those are anymore. So if you can get braver and learn how to really see your own stuff and be able to share that and share how you feel and share what you need, and you do that as you go along, then the big stuff doesn't get so big, right? Where you can't trace back, where is the origin of this disagreement? Where is the origin of this resentment? And this is exactly what I started doing in my relationship sort of 15 years ago when I started on the personal development path. And it is challenging, and there will be some conflict. But to keep coming back to, what is it you appreciate about your partner? What are you noticing are your triggers and how you shift and change your behavior? rather than blaming it always on what someone else is doing. Because remember, we always have a choice to respond. And how can you communicate that in a way that can be seen and heard? So I've given you some sort of strategies and some ways of doing that, but there's also a place in your body where you really hold presence in order to be able to do this. And it's a place in your body to create safety, to be seen and heard, to be able to communicate what you really feel rather than popping up in the head and the pain speaking. And a lot of my work is around this. It's called the Brilliance Without Burnout, and we have a half-day events coming up. So we have one on October the 13th in Brisbane. That's our next one. We're having a little bit of a break. We've done so many events through COVID, and just had our last in-person event on Bribey last week, which was amazing. So having a little break for September, but back October the 13th. So if you would love to learn how to speak from a place of presence, speak from a place of truth and true feeling, how to speak in a way that magnetizes rather than pushes away. And these are some of the things that you're going to be learning and we're going to be teaching at this event. So just pop me a comment below if you would love to learn more about that. October the 13th in Brisbane. It's a Tuesday morning from 10 till 1. We're going to be showing you some powerful tools and getting you to communicate with each other. So this work is for people who are in relationship and would love to be seen and heard more in that way. But it's also for you if you are an entrepreneur or in business, or you want to improve your relationships and be seen and heard in every situation in your life, so that you are not squashing those desires and squashing your communication and then feeling like your worth isn't there because you're not being heard in the way that you want. So if that speaks to you, like I say, pop a comment below and we'll send you some info about that next event coming up. And if you have any questions about anything that I've shared today, feel free to put a message in or PM me privately. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone. Take care.